The most dangerous people are never the loudest ones. They do not scream for attention. They do not react emotionally. They do not feel the need to prove themselves constantly. And that is exactly what makes them dangerous. Most people completely misunderstand power because they associate danger with aggression, noise, dominance, and emotional intensity. But psychologically, the calmest person in the room is often the one with the most control. While emotionally reactive people expose themselves through impulsive behavior, calm individuals remain observant, disciplined, and emotionally unreadable. And unreadable people create fear naturally, because human beings fear what they cannot predict. The average person becomes emotionally predictable almost immediately. Anger controls them. Ego controls them. Validation controls them. Pressure controls them. The moment something challenges their emotions, they react automatically without thinking clearly. But emotionally disciplined individuals move differently. They remain calm while everyone else loses composure. They observe while others react impulsively. And over time, this creates a level of psychological power most people never develop. The frightening part is that calm people are usually seeing far more than they reveal. While emotionally reactive individuals are busy speaking, defending themselves, and trying to dominate socially, the calm observer quietly studies everything. Body language, emotional weakness, hidden insecurity, desperation for approval. Human behavior becomes extremely transparent to someone who knows how to remain silent long enough to observe carefully. And once someone truly understands human behavior, social interactions begin changing completely. If you enjoy content about emotional control, psychological strength, human behavior, and silent dominance, subscribe to Psychology of Silence and leave a like on this video. The people who master calmness understand power on a completely different level from everyone else. Most people fear silence because silence removes distraction. It exposes insecurity. It exposes impatience. It forces people to confront themselves internally without emotional escape. That is why nervous individuals overtalk constantly. Insecure individuals over-explain themselves. Emotionally unstable people seek attention endlessly. They are trying to escape the discomfort of stillness because stillness forces awareness. But calm individuals become comfortable in silence. And that comfort creates emotional control. The average person cannot stay emotionally composed under pressure for very long. Eventually, frustration appears. Ego appears. Impulsiveness appears. But disciplined individuals understand that emotional reactions reveal weakness more often than strength. The moment someone loses control emotionally, they expose exactly where they can be manipulated psychologically. This is why calm people rarely react quickly. They pause before speaking, observe before responding, think before emotionally investing themselves into situations. And because of this, they become difficult to influence emotionally. Most people can be controlled through fear, validation, rejection, or pressure because their emotional state depends heavily on external circumstances. But grounded individuals build stability internally instead. Their peace does not disappear every time life becomes uncomfortable. That level of emotional stability immediately changes how people perceive them socially. People instinctively trust calmness more than emotional chaos. They instinctively respect emotional discipline more than impulsiveness. And they instinctively become cautious around people who cannot be emotionally controlled easily. Because emotional unpredictability creates psychological tension. This is why the calmest person often dominates social environments without speaking much at all. While others desperately compete for attention, emotionally disciplined individuals remain centered internally. They do not need emotional victories to feel powerful. They do not need constant validation to feel valuable. And because they are not emotionally desperate, their presence feels stronger automatically. Most individuals leak emotional energy constantly without realizing it. Every argument drains focus. Every impulsive reaction drains clarity. Every attempt to prove themselves drains emotional stability. Over time, emotionally reactive people become mentally exhausted because they allow external situations to control their internal state completely. But calm individuals protect their energy differently. They choose carefully what deserves emotion, carefully what deserves attention, carefully what deserves a response. Because they understand something extremely important: attention is power. And where your attention goes, your emotional energy follows. This is why emotionally strong people often appear mysterious. They are not emotionally available to every situation around them. They do not instantly expose what affects them internally. And because people cannot easily read them, curiosity and tension begin building naturally around their presence. Human beings constantly search for emotional certainty during social interactions. They want reactions, validation, emotional feedback. But calm individuals remove that certainty completely. Their silence forces others into psychological discomfort because emotionally reactive people no longer know how much influence they truly have over them. And uncertainty creates pressure. Pressure reveals emotional truth. That is why difficult situations expose people so quickly. Some individuals panic emotionally. Some become aggressive. Some become desperate for control. But calm individuals remain centered while observing everything carefully. And during those moments, emotional discipline becomes visible without a single word needing to be spoken. Because true danger is not loud. True danger is controlled. Controlled people understand something emotionally reactive people never fully realize. The moment you lose control of your emotions, you lose control of yourself. And once someone else can control your emotional state, they begin influencing your decisions, your behavior, and even the way you perceive reality. That is why calm individuals protect their emotional balance so carefully. They understand that emotional control is not weakness. It is protection. Most people confuse calmness with passiveness because they only recognize visible strength. They believe loudness means confidence. Aggression means power. Dominance means control. But psychologically, emotionally unstable people are often the easiest to manipulate because their reactions are predictable. They react instantly to disrespect, instantly to criticism, instantly to rejection. Their emotions operate almost automatically, which means external situations constantly control their internal state. But calm individuals break this pattern completely. Instead of reacting immediately, they create space between emotion and response. That space changes everything because awareness begins replacing impulsiveness. They stop acting based on temporary emotional pressure and begin thinking strategically instead. While emotionally reactive individuals are busy trying to release emotional tension, calm individuals continue observing the situation clearly. This is one reason silence becomes so psychologically powerful. Silence interrupts emotional expectations. Most people expect reactions. They expect emotional feedback. They expect visible responses. But when someone remains composed instead of reacting impulsively, it creates discomfort because the emotional pattern suddenly disappears. The reactive person begins feeling exposed while the calm individual remains emotionally protected. And people reveal themselves very quickly when they feel emotionally exposed. Insecurity becomes visible through over-explaining. Weakness becomes visible through emotional defensiveness. Desperation becomes visible through attention-seeking behavior. Fear becomes visible through aggression. Human behavior constantly exposes internal emotional states to anyone patient enough to observe carefully. But most people are too emotionally distracted to notice these patterns because they are trapped inside their own reactions. Calm individuals, however, develop a different type of awareness. They begin understanding people not by what they say, but by how they behave emotionally under pressure. And pressure changes everything. Pressure removes social masks. It reveals who truly controls themselves internally and who only appeared confident while life felt comfortable. Anyone can appear calm during easy moments. Anyone can appear emotionally stable when nothing threatens their ego. But difficult situations reveal emotional truth almost immediately. This is why emotionally disciplined individuals often intimidate people without trying. Their calmness creates uncertainty. Emotionally reactive individuals cannot easily predict them, manipulate them, or emotionally destabilize them. And human beings naturally become cautious around what they cannot emotionally control. The calmer someone becomes, the less emotionally accessible they are to chaos. That changes relationships completely. Most relationships are built around emotional dependency without people realizing it. Many individuals rely heavily on attention, reassurance, validation, or emotional reactions from others to maintain their sense of worth. But emotionally grounded individuals stop needing constant emotional reinforcement externally because they develop stability internally instead. And once someone develops internal stability, desperation disappears. They stop chasing approval, stop forcing connections, stop arguing unnecessarily, stop trying to emotionally convince everyone around them. Instead, they become more selective with their attention because they understand emotional energy is valuable. Every unnecessary emotional reaction drains focus. Every emotional conflict steals peace. Every impulsive response weakens self-control over time. Most people live emotionally exhausted because they react to everything around them without awareness. But calm individuals move differently. They understand that silence preserves energy, patience preserves clarity, and emotional control preserves power. This is why emotionally strong individuals often speak less over time. Not because they are afraid to speak, but because they realize most conversations are emotionally driven performances. Most people are not truly listening. They are waiting emotionally for their turn to speak, defend themselves, prove themselves, or seek validation. But calm individuals become more interested in observing than performing socially. Observation sharpens intelligence. The more someone observes human behavior quietly, the more predictable emotional patterns become. People expose their insecurities constantly through body language, tone, emotional reactions, and attention-seeking behavior. The person who remains emotionally detached enough to notice these details gains enormous social awareness without needing to dominate conversations externally. And that awareness becomes dangerous. Not dangerous through aggression, not dangerous through force, but dangerous through understanding. Because once someone understands emotional behavior deeply enough, manipulation becomes easier to recognize, emotional traps become easier to avoid, and external pressure loses much of its power. Calm individuals stop becoming emotionally controlled by every opinion, every criticism, every rejection, and every uncomfortable situation because they understand that emotional reactions are temporary while consequences can become permanent. This creates a level of patience most people never develop. Patience during conflict, patience during uncertainty, patience during emotional tension. While reactive people rush emotionally toward immediate relief, disciplined individuals tolerate discomfort long enough to remain objective. And objectivity creates better decisions because emotions no longer dominate perception completely. The average person spends most of their life emotionally trapped inside the need to react. React to being ignored. React to disrespect. react to discomfort, react to pressure. But calm individuals slowly free themselves from this cycle because they realize that reacting emotionally to everything gives the outside world unlimited access to their peace. And once peace becomes valuable enough, emotional discipline becomes necessary. That is why the calmest person is often the most dangerous one, because they are not controlled by the same emotional weaknesses controlling everyone else. Most people spend their entire lives believing danger looks emotional, aggressive, loud, or obvious. But real psychological strength is usually invisible at first. It hides behind calmness, behind patience, behind emotional discipline. Because the people who truly control themselves internally no longer feel the need to constantly display power externally. And that is exactly what makes them difficult to deal with. Emotionally reactive individuals are easy to understand. Their emotions constantly reveal their state of mind. Anger reveals insecurity. Defensiveness reveals ego. Desperation reveals emotional dependence. Their reactions expose them automatically. But calm individuals reveal very little emotionally, which forces people into uncertainty. And uncertainty creates tension because human beings naturally fear what they cannot fully read. This is why silent individuals often appear more powerful without trying. Their emotional restraint creates mystery. People begin paying closer attention to them because emotionally controlled behavior feels rare in modern society. Almost everyone reacts impulsively now. Almost everyone seeks attention, validation, emotional release, or social approval constantly. But calm individuals move against that pattern completely. They become slower emotionally, more intentional mentally, more observant socially. And over time, this creates enormous psychological advantage. Most people are too emotionally consumed to think clearly during pressure. The moment emotions rise, logic weakens. Patience disappears. Awareness disappears. But emotionally disciplined individuals train themselves to remain centered during uncomfortable situations instead of becoming controlled by them. That ability alone separates them from the majority of people. Because discomfort reveals character. The average person only appears emotionally stable while life feels comfortable. But stress exposes emotional truth quickly. Pressure exposes insecurity quickly. Silence exposes weakness quickly. The moment people stop receiving emotional reassurance from the outside world, their internal instability begins revealing itself automatically. This is why many individuals cannot tolerate silence during conversations. Silence forces self-awareness. It creates psychological pressure because people suddenly become aware of their own thoughts, insecurities, and emotional discomfort internally. That is why nervous people rush to fill silence constantly. They speak impulsively because stillness feels uncomfortable. But calm individuals remain comfortable in silence. And comfort inside silence creates emotional control. The calmer someone becomes internally, the less emotional access the world has to them. Opinions stop controlling their peace. Criticism stops controlling their confidence. Rejection stops controlling their self-worth. They begin operating from internal stability instead of external validation. And that shift changes every interaction they have socially. People instinctively test emotional boundaries constantly. Consciously or unconsciously, they observe reactions. They look for emotional triggers. They look for insecurity. They look for ways to understand how emotionally stable someone truly is. But disciplined individuals give very little emotional information away because they understand that emotional exposure creates vulnerability. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means becoming aware. aware of when emotions try to control behavior, aware of when ego tries to dominate decisions, aware of when insecurity tries to seek validation. Most people never develop this awareness because they spend their lives reacting automatically instead of observing themselves honestly. But calm individuals begin studying their own emotional patterns carefully. They recognize what weakens their self-control and slowly begin mastering it internally. And mastery over yourself changes your entire presence. You stop chasing attention desperately, stop reacting emotionally to every opinion, stop feeling the need to defend yourself constantly, stop allowing temporary emotions to control permanent decisions. Instead, you become grounded. And grounded people feel different. There is a certain type of quiet confidence that comes from emotional discipline. Not loud confidence, not performative confidence, but calm certainty. The kind of certainty that does not need approval to survive. The kind that remains stable even during pressure, criticism, uncertainty, or discomfort. That type of confidence intimidates emotionally reactive people because emotionally reactive people depend heavily on external emotional control. They feel secure only when situations go exactly the way they want. But disciplined individuals remain emotionally balanced even when life becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability is where true strength is revealed. Anyone can appear confident during easy moments. Anyone can appear calm while comfortable. But chaos reveals who truly controls themselves internally. The people who master calmness understand that emotional reactions are expensive. Every impulsive response costs energy. Every unnecessary argument costs peace. Every emotional outburst weakens discipline. Most individuals drain themselves mentally every single day because they react emotionally to everything around them without awareness. But calm individuals conserve energy carefully. They know not every opinion deserves attention. Not every conflict deserves emotion. Not every situation deserves a reaction. And because they protect their emotional states so carefully, their focus becomes stronger. Their patience becomes stronger. Their clarity becomes stronger. While emotionally reactive people continue exhausting themselves through chaos, disciplined individuals continue strengthening themselves internally through control. That is why calm people often become more respected over time without forcing it. Emotional stability creates trust naturally. People feel safer around grounded individuals because grounded individuals do not create emotional chaos constantly. Their presence feels controlled, predictable in the right way, stable under pressure, and stability is rare, especially in a world where emotions control almost everyone. That is why the calmest person is often the most dangerous one, because they mastered the one thing most people never will, themselves. And the people who master themselves eventually stop seeking power in the way most people do. They stop trying to dominate conversations. Stop trying to win every argument. Stop trying to force respect from others emotionally, because they realize something deeper. The person who truly controls themselves no longer needs constant external proof of strength. That realization changes everything internally. Most people are emotionally addicted to reaction. They need emotional stimulation constantly to feel engaged with life. Drama, attention, validation, conflict, approval. Their mind becomes dependent on emotional noise because silence forces them to confront themselves honestly. But emotionally disciplined individuals slowly become comfortable with stillness instead. They stop running from their own mind and begin mastering it. And once someone masters their own mind, manipulation becomes far less effective. Fear loses power. Pressure loses power. Rejection loses power. Because emotionally grounded individuals no longer depend entirely on external circumstances to maintain internal stability. This is why calm people often appear emotionally untouchable, not because they feel nothing, but because they refuse to let temporary emotions dictate their behavior automatically. They understand that emotions are signals, not commands. Anger does not need immediate action. Ego does not need immediate defense. Insecurity does not need immediate validation. Most people never learn this. They spend their lives obeying every emotion instantly, and over time, their emotions begin controlling the direction of their entire life. One impulsive reaction damages relationships. One emotional decision destroys opportunities. One moment of lost self-control changes how people perceive them permanently. But disciplined individuals understand that every reaction shapes identity over time. That is why they guard their emotional state carefully. Because peace is difficult to rebuild once destroyed repeatedly through impulsiveness. The calmer someone becomes internally, the more they begin separating themselves from emotional chaos entirely. They stop participating in meaningless conflicts. Stop wasting energy proving themselves to emotionally immature people. Stop reacting to every negative opinion. Instead, they begin protecting their focus because they realize emotional discipline and mental clarity are deeply connected. A distracted mind is easier to control, and an emotional mind is easier to manipulate. But a calm mind becomes difficult to influence. And difficult to influence people naturally become powerful. Not through force, not through intimidation, but through emotional independence. This is why emotionally disciplined individuals often become leaders without trying to dominate anyone aggressively. Their calmness creates trust. Their patience creates authority. Their emotional consistency creates reliability. While emotionally reactive people continue creating instability around themselves, grounded individuals create stability naturally. And people are drawn toward stability, especially in difficult times. When pressure increases, emotionally reactive individuals usually collapse into impulsiveness. But calm individuals slow themselves down instead. They observe more carefully, speak more intentionally, think more clearly. And during those moments, their emotional discipline becomes impossible not to notice. Because calmness under pressure reveals real strength. Anyone can appear strong when life feels easy. Anyone can appear confident while comfortable. But emotional control during chaos reveals who truly mastered themselves internally. And the people who master themselves understand one final truth most people never realize. The loudest person in the room usually wants attention. But the calmest person in the room already has control. If you made it this far, comment "Calm is power" below. I want to know who truly understands the psychology of silence, emotional control, and silent dominance.